Hey, how's it going? Today we're talking about Searcher cards and why they're the best cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! What's happening, guys? I know you guys aren't really familiar with seeing a man behind the camera, as DZ normally doesn't rock that way, but give me a second to introduce myself, and then we'll hop right into what we're talking about today. My name's NimNim. I'm another Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube content creator that primarily does discussions like the one you're about to see here today, and if you like anything you see here today, be sure to hit that link down in the description below, give my channel a look, and if you're feeling really generous, be sure to hit that subscribe button over on my channel. Makes me feel just a little bit better about myself. But today we're talking about one of the cornerstones of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is Searcher cards, or cards that will tutor themselves to grab another card from your deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is home to a plethora of different Searcher cards in the game, all of which serving a different purpose within their respective decks, some of them actually being more generic than other ones. When we talk about Searcher cards, there's normally a select few cards that pop into people's minds immediately, and these are what I'd like to call the golden standard of Searcher cards, cards such as Elemental Hero Stratos, as well as Reinforcement of the Army. But why are these cards just so good that they've become the standard to build all other Searcher cards around them? Let's talk about that. But to really understand why these cards are so good, let's just talk about what makes a Searcher card good in general. And for that, I gotta bring you guys over to the whiteboard. So let's do that. All right, hey, we're talking about Searchers. So when we want to talk about cards that search other cards from the deck, we have to keep in mind that on their own, these cards aren't as good as people make them out to be. These search cards are only as good as the pool of cards they're in. So here's our pool of cards here, and this pool can actually include anything. It can include spells or traps, monsters, whatever your specific Searcher card can search. So if we take a look at a card like Elemental Hero Stratos, for example, this pool of cards includes every card name with a hero in its name, because that's what Elemental Hero Stratos can search. Alright, for the sake of my doodles, consider this our Searcher card here. Now the cool thing about Searcher cards is they're only as good as what's in this pool here. And to really determine the pool, we have to actually consider two factors that I think are most important when we're determining how good this card will be. We have to determine the quality of the pool of cards it can search, and we have to determine the depth of the pool of cards it can search. Only then, I think, can we get an accurate representation of how good the Searcher card we're printing should be. Quality of the card pool can be determined by how many actually usable, playable, really good cards are in this card pool that our card, Elemental Hero Stratos, can search. And it actually just so happens that there's a whole bunch of really quality monsters we can search. Cards like Elemental Hero Bubbleman, Malicious if you play D-Draw, any of the Destiny heroes, any of the Vision heroes, you can search all these cards, which also correlates to the depth of the card pool it can search. There is a lot of cards that Elemental Hero Stratos can search. Again, any of the Destiny heroes, any of the Elemental heroes, as well as any of the, I think there's another hero version, Vision Hero, I don't know. But the cool thing about these two variables here is it actually directly determines how good that Searcher card will be. For example, if the quality and the depth of the card pool that the Searcher card can grab is pretty good, very favorable, then I think the rating of the Searcher card will also be received rather favorably. Where the fuck did I put my black marker? On the same token, it's also important to note that if the quality and the depth of the pool that the Searcher card can grab is bad, well, then the Searcher card, what's it gonna grab? There's nothing good it can grab anyways, so it's a bad card. It's also really important to note that the quality of the Searcher card is directly related to that of the pool, but the quality of the pool isn't actually related to that of the Searcher card. What essentially that means is that you can have some really broken, unsearchable cards in an archetype, but being able to search them doesn't make these cards better, but then it does make it more consistent, and that's another key thing that we gotta talk about. So, consistency. What exactly does this mean in regards to these cards that search cards from the deck and add them to hand? Well, it's really important to note that these cards don't on their own make these decks better. It makes these decks more consistent. So let's go back to those golden standards that I referred to earlier. When people are classifying new cards or rating a new card for an archetype, they'll often categorize it as, oh, this card is a Stratos for the deck, or it's a Rhoda for the deck. This affectionate naming is similar to that of maybe Bolt the Bird in Magic the Gathering, which is using a spell card to get rid of a mana ramper. But in our case for Yu-Gi-Oh, we're using it to classify as, if we're saying a Stratos, a card that on a normal summon or a summon in general will add a card from the deck to the hand, and if it's a Rhoda, a spell card that will grab a monster from our deck to our hand. If we think about it, it's actually a pretty apt comparison to say Satellar Knight Deneb is like the Stratos for Satellar Knights. It's a really easy way to classify these cards, but it also is a testament to how powerful these cards are. So a common question is, why are these Searcher cards, which are normally only meant to add consistency to a deck, the cards that are getting hit, rather than the powerful cards that make the archetype what it is? For example, Spiral Resort is a card that got hit when there's tons of other cards that are way more powerful that people think of, like for example, the Sleeper combo. And while these combos like the Sleeper combo are powerful, they're not easy to get. Sometimes you will need specific cards from your deck, cards that these Searcher cards will be able to do, which adds the consistency to this powerful combo. And I think when Konami tries to address these problems on the Forbidden Limited list, they try to make decisions that don't kill the identity of the deck, and normally that points the gun towards these Searcher cards. So if Satellar Knight Deneb is just the Stratos for Satellar Knights, how is it able to be at 3, whereas Elemental Hero Stratos has to be at 0? Well, let's take you over to Dueling Book and I'll show you. Alright, hey guys, so along those same lines that I was talking about determining the quality and the depth of a pool, it's really easy to see if we look at a card like Elemental Hero Stratos, how vast this pool is. Look how many cards we're working, like 53 cards Elemental Hero Stratos can add from the deck to its hand when it's normal or special summon. And then we also did determine, okay, that's a big card pool on its own, but what about the quality of the cards? If none of these cards are good, Stratos can't be that great of a card, right? Well, unfortunately, Stratos is a really good card, enough for it to be forbidden, because you have a whole bunch of cards it can search that are really good, like Elemental Hero Bubble Man, Shadow Mist, Prisma's pretty good in some decks, Neo Alias is the clutch for Bubble Beat, Disc Commander, if that ever comes back, I heard it's getting an errata. Also, you got the new Destiny Hero support, Celestial's a pretty okay card. All these cards are just very powerful and do a lot on their own too. Also, can't forget Malicious, like I mentioned earlier. There's a lot of cards that Elemental Hero Stratos can add from the deck to the hand to really make it that powerful Searcher card we all know. Alright, but what about the other card that I talked about in the form of Satellar Knight Deneb? Isn't that just the Stratos for the deck, right? Well, Satellar Knight Deneb has clearly a much smaller card pool it can add. These are all the cards Satellar Knight Deneb can add from the deck to the hand with its effect. The pool is significantly smaller, easily a fifth of that of what Elemental Hero Stratos can search, but also we have to determine the quality of the pool, and really, there's only about 2, maybe 3 good Satellar Knight cards you can add from your deck to your hand. Altair is easily one of the best ones, and Vega is also the ones you see in most Satellar Knight decks. You will also occasionally see the Anuklahai, but Anuklahai is not even that great of a card to search late game, and it's normally just one that's going to get the party started in the early turn. Zephyr Thubin's an okay card, but you won't see it in most Satellar Knight builds. So this really reflects that whole ideology I set with the quality and the depth of a pool. Since Satellar Knight Deneb can't really search that much, it's very limited in what it can search, and even the good stuff it can search, it's a card that we can easily say can still remain at 3. Let's take it back to the camera and talk about a couple more things. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an inside look to really determine how good these cards are when we make them, these Searcher cards. You might have a card like Reinforcement of the Army, which can search a wide, vast pool of cards, but then again you might have a card like Satellar Knight Deneb, which can only search a small portion. And again, it's really important to note that the quality and the depth of these pools can determine whether or not these Searcher cards can be legal. For example, while the depth of the pool for the level Warrior 4 monsters is huge, it spans throughout the entire game's history, the quality of it might be just a little bit less than that of, say, level 4 or lower spellcasters, which is why we don't see a generic spellcaster searcher in the form of a Rhoda. We can actually remember, if we go back a little bit, Reinforcement of the Army was put to 3 for a very short time, and that was right before Nekroz dropped, which then made the quality of the Warrior pool rise exponentially. On its own, the Warrior archetype Noble Knights really wasn't making waves that format to consider putting Rhoda back to 1, because the archetype wasn't that good. But then when you introduce a new archetype that just happens to have level 4 warriors that are insane, the quality will rise exponentially, and you have to do something to address that, which normally, taking down Rhoda back to 1. Stratos in its own just has a card pool that's deeper than a rabbit hole and has so many different options that it can add, on top of the fact that it also has an additional effect where it can pop back row. Also, It's not once per turn. It's really important for R&D to address those two factors of quality and depth of the pull it can search before they consider how good we can make or how easily we can allow this searcher card to grab things from the deck. Because otherwise you run into these problems of being able to access this extremely powerful and deep card pool too easily in the form of like a card like Elemental Hero Stratos. And when Konami realized this, they decided to release a replacement in the longs of Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. This is a card that's deemed a little bit more fair when we want to grab cards from this expansive pool of really great cards we have our options to grab from. So in short, I think we can really classify these searcher cards as really not doing much on their own, but making a whole lot possible. And that's why they're normally the first to get the axe. Let me know what you guys think about searcher cards down in the comment section below. What is your favorite searcher card? What are some searcher cards that you think shouldn't be legal and are just a little bit too good? I'd love to hear what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you guys liked the video, be sure to like the video. Thumbs up the video, I'm expressed you enjoyed the video. If you guys did like the video, please do consider subscribing to my channel. I'm sure Doug will be able to put the link down in the description below. And be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. It's normally 3 days a week. That being said, thank you guys so much for watching the video today. Be sure to give Doug a huge thumbs up for allowing me to upload on his channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Nim Nim, signing out.